Hello and welcome to the Hammers United podcast. I am Trevor Tuig and I am here with the wonderful co-host of mine, George Barnard.
Hello, mate. How you doing? You all right?
Well, George, I was all right until we recorded 25 minutes of the podcast. You told me you weren't recording it.
Blame me. Blame me.
Apart from that, I'm great. I'm great. So, mate, it's been a long time since we've last done one of these podcasts, and a lot has gone on in the world of West Ham. Let's start, mate, with the Forest win. I think that was the game we were going into.
Yep.
At home, 4-0. What were your thoughts on that result and performance?
I mean, last 20, 30 minutes, world class. First hour, wasn't massively impressed.
No? Same old Moisey drivel, was it?
It was better. We were a better team, but it was just so passive. We've got the players to play it, and for the first hour, it was typical: two holding midfielders, one up, one in behind, two wingers dropping in. Yet in the last half an hour, we let them play, and look what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was nice to finally get some goals and give something back to fans, something to celebrate. But unfortunately, as is often the case with West Ham, it was short-lived, wasn't it? And this was followed up by, I don't know, I think it might have been United, mightn't it, in the week, the cup game, which I went to. George didn't make it, but I went to. And as I said, it's a lovely day out. You can't go wrong with a bit of United, and great ground, great vibe. Like going up to the ground, on the streets, and it's very, it's like a traditional football ground, and something that we really obviously lack. Something that Hammers United have, in fact, tried to get going is to have the street sellers, people doing the badges, people who do the programs and all that on the walkways going up to the London Stadium, but up until now, we still, haven't got very far with the club on that one, which is a real shame. But, as you know, George, with United, you've got that real buzz around the ground, and it's, you've got the houses there. And I do like them grounds, which are in cities or big towns. And yeah, it feels like, it feels like you're going to a proper game, and obviously wonderful ground. But then, you get in, the game starts, there's not a bloody peep out of the 70,000 people who were there, which is just, it's indicative of United fans, as far as I'm concerned, because they don't say anything until they score. But the good news
Trev, that's a bit harsh. You got to remember, they're doing a 3-hour journey from London, most of them.
Very good, George. Very good indeed. Yeah, very good indeed. Well, we did a 4.5-hour journey. However, we sang our hearts out, and I'm sure West Ham fans were sitting at home proud of the away support, because they were, as the saying goes, George, massive really for the large part of that game. Went 1-0 up, obviously, in the second half after, I would say, dominating a majority of the first half. And obviously, Casemiro came on, which is a bit nervy for us, but scored the goal. Thought it might have been disallowed. Wasn't disallowed. West Ham fans go bananas. Then obviously, they get a goal. That's disallowed. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, this could actually be our night here. But in true West Ham style, and what seems to be indicative of this season, we capitulate like a bunch of little whatevers, little girls, and it was just a real. I mean, people are going to say that's harsh, you know what I mean? People are going to say that's harsh, but I do believe in that game when I was watching it. As soon as they went to 1-1, the belief went out of our side, and
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And I know Casemiro came on and started pulling the strings, and yes, he's absolutely world class. However, I just felt like the fight had gone, and really the subs that were made didn't help, and we ended up going down 3-1, which was really unfair because, like I say, for 65 minutes, 70 minutes, we really had a go. But I was disappointed, mate, with that. I thought that although the performance for that period of time was very good on our standards, it was chances missed, really, an opportunity missed, and it was disappointing, mate. What did you think?
I mean, like you said, 65, 70 minutes, we were brilliant, absolutely superb. Benrahma, again, the geezer is mustard. The goal was incredible.
Yeah.
Player of the season by far, it ain't even close. Player of the season wise for me, and it was. If we played like we did for the first 70 minutes, week in, week out, not necessarily the greatest football. We run ourselves into the ground. We worked hard. West Ham fans wouldn't care. all we wanted is a team that tries hard. And for the majority of that game, we got it. But indicative of our season, for the last 20 minutes, we switched off and got punished.
Yeah, yeah, and they are shit hot, you know, and they showed it on that night, and yeah, and like I say, it was what it was in the end, but it was disappointing. We then went on to the Brighton game on the weekend, and like I say, I dodged a massive bullet there
No,
by
you bottled the bullet there.
yeah.
Tells you to go and buy a ticket, everyone. I'll go and buy one and he don't even turn up.
Yeah,
Loser.
my humblest apologies, my sincerest apologies, George. But yeah, who's laughing now, mate? Really, because yeah, dodged a massive yeah bullet there with that one. Because yeah, it was possibly worst performance of the season in your opinion, mate.
I mean, by far the season, I'd say up there with the worst I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. We were absolutely pony for the 75 minutes I was there, for minute 1 and minute 75. I left after that times I really couldn't be asked. But it was just, I don't care how poor you are. Just work hard. And the effort was not there in the slightest.
Mm. Yeah, and like I say, you know, on after that result, you know, people were calling for Moyes' head.
Mate, during the game, I've never ever seen this before. There was 3 or 4 songs about Moyes going from the West Ham fans. It was he getting sacked in the morning, and there was a couple of others. I can't remember what
You don't know
what
what
they
you're
were.
doing.
You don't know what you're doing. That was another one. But normally you hear it on social media, but nothing in the game. And this was everyone, and I'm talking. There was not one West Ham fan that weren't singing this. He was getting pelters in the second half.
Yeah, and I think you know fair enough really for the fans who've travelled down there and had to watch that shower of shit.
Especially with a train strike as well. Like it took us about 3.5 hours to get there, and it normally takes you around 2.5. But because the train strike, it was just long.
Yeah, it's just not acceptable to not turn up to that degree. And like I say, this whole excuse that you know that players were tired after the United game is just bollocks as far as I'm concerned. And you know the argument again is that you know well Man United got battered by Liverpool, and you think well slightly different level, you know, for a start. And you know it's just oh yeah, I was just absolutely gutted by the fact that you know we for whatever reason we don't seem to have any kind of leadership on the pitch to get you know people to get the team up and to get them to perform to the levels that we have become accustomed to, you know. And I've said this to like some mates that I've got who I go West Ham away with and stuff at times. This whole you know Rice gesticulating with his arms and like
Don't get me started on Declan Rice, because if I start going, I'm going to tear into another level.
Now go on, Joel, just do it because it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for people to hear your opinion.
Like I am a coach of a football team at my university,
The big
and Bedford. If my captain did half the stuff that he does during the game, and sometimes he does, I give him stick for it and I give him a bollocking. So why isn't David Moyes tearing into him? He's digging out fans in the press conference afterwards. He's, like you said, throwing his arms around during games. You're a leader. You've learned off probably the best leader you could in Mark Noble. He gets what West Ham is. He's a West Ham fan. He turned down Arsenal to come to West Ham. He loved us that much.
Rice won't.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're the opposite to what Noble is. And as soon as he's gone, you've just turned into this whiny, bitchy player that you're not a captain. You're a world-class player, but you're not a captain.
Mm. Well, George, I mean, that is a strong opinion. And I would probably, I'd disagree with you a little bit there because I just feel like he leads by example. But, you know, there are times when...
This season, how many good, like last season, the amount of games he had that were world-class, there was probably 5 or 6 that won where he was best player on the pitch. How many games this season has he actually picked up the team and led by example? Newcastle away? Other than that, when? Seriously, that's a question for you, mate. When other than Newcastle this season has he shown the team how to play in the effort levels?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. I would argue that his effort levels are always up there, and he's always the one trying. And I think, given his age, he does do his best. in that sense. But I know what you mean. He's not the type. We all had such high expectations that he was going to be the type of person who's going to drag this team through this and so on and get them out the other side. But it doesn't seem to be materialised. I think just for balance, I think we've got to remember, being West Ham captain. I've just actually finished that Mark Noble autobiography, and being West Ham captain is a hard job, mate. It's all encompassing, and I think he does care. He massively cares. I think he's feeling it, and I think he knows the pressure. So he is under a lot of pressure, but he hasn't reached the standards of last year. And unfortunately, the makeup of the side just doesn't work, does it? It just doesn't.
But I can take him being crap as long as he's working, as long as he's running, and he's not bollocking other players to being shit because you're one of the shit ones.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, mate, but I know.
This season, by shit, I mean for his levels.
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
He is a world-class player, but for the past two seasons, he has been probably top 5 holding midfielders in the world, and I'm not exaggerating. But this season, he's been awful, and by his own standards, it's a massive drop-off.
Yeah, and do you think as well, mate, just on that, there's an element of truth in what people like what's his name, Souness and the other one, Roy Keane, saying, in the sense that he isn't actually the complete midfielder because he doesn't get the goals. And maybe West Ham fans just do look at Rice through rose-tinted spectacles a little bit. What do you make of that?
I mean, there's two sides of it. One, bit ironic of Roy Keane to talk about goal scoring.
Yeah, true, yeah.
When they're exactly the same position, but you can't also dismiss him because he's won so many Premier League. So half of what he says I agree with, but the goal scoring thing, it's just not his role. He's one of them. He will shield the defence. Goal scoring isn't what he does. That's normally Souček with the late runs in midfield normally and stuff like that. It's not what Declan Rice does.
So basically, George, what you're saying is you're allowed to slag Declan Rice off, but if anyone else outside of the club does,
no, but you can slag him off. But the goal scoring thing holds no weight for me because that's what he's never been that, and he never will be that. Because that's not his game. No. His game is his energy levels. His game is tackling. His game is breaking things up, and he hasn't been doing that this season. If there was arguments of that from Roy Keane and Graham Souness, then yeah, I agree with him. But when you're talking about goal scoring and all-round midfielder, that's not his game.
No. I mean, I'm only just jesting with you, mate. I'm just, for being devil's advocate, I love the player. I do think that he's he's struggling. Sorry, go on.
He's the best midfielder I've seen in my lifetime. There's no doubt in that. It's just I'm judging him purely off the levels that he's already set, and he's been nowhere near those levels. This is going to sound like I'm being very harsh, but you know me by now, mate. I'm blunt as it is. I say say exactly as I see it, and for the levels that he's set the last two seasons, he's been nowhere near them.
Yeah, and I do tend to agree with you on most points, George, if I'm honest. I think he personally needs a change. I think a lot of these players need to get out of the club, or we just need a massive shake-up and a refresh, don't we? I think he needs a new coach. I don't think, from what we've heard from inside intel, there's he's not as happy with Moyes as maybe the impression he gets. But then, like we've rightly discussed previously, he has had a go at Moyes a little bit in the press conferences. So I think he is frustrated, isn't he? He's frustrated about how the side of playing and his role in that, and so it's unpleasant, really. But
if you look at Scotty Parker, mate, when we went down under Avram Grant, and that was obviously I'd followed West Ham. I was only 11 when that happened, but I'd followed West Ham my entire life. But it was the first season that I fully understood what was going on. Was the Avram Grant season. Avram Grant tactically was awful, but you still got players like Scotty Parker pulling their socks off and getting stuck in, scoring goals, winning games. And all right, Declan Rice isn't the goal scorer, but he's also not he's not tracking back. He's not tackling like he normally does. He's not getting in the way. He's not leading the players. There are your two differences as a captain.
I agree with that, and also in that Brighton game, I only watched the highlights because I didn't go. But when they scored like Brighton's goals, everyone's jogging, but Rice included. They're jogging back, and you know how dangerous Brighton are on the counter. So what the fuck's that about? Like, if they're not fit, if they're like fatigued, why is that conversation not happening with the manager and the coaching staff, and we're playing different players? It beggars belief. It's the same situation that happened when we should have won the Europa League. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's Moyes' inability, and I'm deflecting from Rice here a little bit, but it's Moyes' inability to be able to shake things up and trust other players. You know, I mean, Freddie Potts came on last night. We'll come on to that game in a bit, but he looked decent. You know what I mean? Granted, yeah, we're playing in the fucking UEFA Pub League, whatever it's called. But bottom line is, like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's having a go, and I just think it frustrates me that he'll burn these players into the ground, to the point, and not try any of these other kids. You know, we've got an under-18 side who absolutely tearing their league up under a brilliant coach, Kevin Keane, and none of them, well, yeah, a few of them got a sniff last night, but in the Premier League, they're not getting an absolute look in. And you think, well, I wonder if all the kids want to leave. Do you know what I mean? And under Rice is going to leave. It's just a sad state of affairs at this club at the moment, mate. I don't know what you think.
I mean, that David Mabama, however you say his name, I'm not too good with names, but he looks unbelievable. No, I'm not saying he's not your Antonio and he's gonna power forward, but if you look at him, especially his movement is him and Sonny Perkins, for young kids, they're two of the best players for movement I've seen at West Ham in the last 10 years. In final third movement, they may not be all of it in the build up and linking play and all that kind of stuff, but his movement in the area, his movement to drop off a defender, find the gaps, it's unbelievable. You look at his goal last night; it was world-class movement.
Oh, mate, yeah, and I loved his energy. You know, tracking. I got a yellow card for it, but that actually, you know, if you're going to close people down, close them down. You know what I mean? That's what he was doing. I love that energy, quick. You know, and let's face it, George, David Moyes is not going to be able to find a striker that's half decent for West Ham. In fact, he hasn't done it in a 25-year long career. You know what I mean? So if we're going to get a decent striker in this club, he's going to have to come from the academy. So fingers crossed.
Do you know what was interesting? When we first got David Moyes back, one of my best mates, he's an Everton fan, and he goes, David Moyes is a graveyard for strikers. He said that before he even come in, and he's bang on.
Yeah, he's bought no decent strikers. I think there's a stat. It's like Yakubu, isn't it? It might be the only one at Everton, but I'm not even sure that's true. So yeah, he's absolutely right, mate. And Ings running around on his own up front just depresses me.
I felt so sorry for him once against Brighton. He's always played in a two or a team that go back to front very quickly. In terms of Burnley, they go back to they run through the midfield, get it wide, get it in the box at Burnley. Or Southampton, it was high pressing football and stuff like that. So that's how he's always played. He's come to us now. We ain't got a clue what we're doing, so I just feel sorry for him.
Yeah, and on that note, feeling sorry for people, how did you feel after the Villa game? Because obviously, I didn't go because I'm a little bit jaded.
Part-time fan.
Yeah, part-time at the moment. Yeah, and yeah, well, because it's irritating, George. It's frustrating me massively. And I watched it on a dodgy stream, and I was again. You know, a few people have come out and said, "Oh, great performance," you know, and I'm thinking, I don't know, mate, is it a great performance? You know, again, what were your thoughts on that?
Let me just set the record straight, because West Ham fans have been getting pelters. Oh, you booed the team off, you drew. We weren't booing the players. We were never booing the players. We were behind the players. We have one of the best following in the league. Yeah, home and away. We are booing the tactics. We are booing the manager. We need a goal. We're sitting fourth from bottom or third from bottom as it was then. And he brings on Cornet for Ings.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Cornet is a good player and he got him behind. If he could stay on side, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But he's not played in the league since about November. Come on, man. Leaving's in there. Leaving's and Cornet out front and go a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
You say, right, get the ball, boom, in the box.
So that leads us on to Scamacca, and obviously the photo that was doing the rounds on Twitter. What did you make of the treatment of Scamacca?
I just don't think he knows how to deal with top quality players. I don't. If you look at the team we had when we survived relegation a couple of years ago, it was a team of workers. It was a team that would get in formation. We've now got players like Benrahma, Paqueta, Scamacca, that can all play this football, and he don't know how to coach it. I feel really sorry, not just for him, but for the new overseas signings that thought they were going to get a ball dominant style, which we all thought we were going to get. Moyes don't know what he's doing.
No, I make you right, mate. I mean, it's the proof is there in the data and the stats and so on. And he can't manage a team like this. So, it's such a shame. And I think, Scamacca's done well, really, to pick himself up and play on Thursday and score. Because, again, he's finishing, mate. I don't know. Yeah, you saw the first half. Didn't see the second half, did you, George?
No, we honestly, we just got bored. It was just boring to watch last night. Me and my brother went, and it was just like, if you're not going to put the effort in and run around and do the necessary things, because let's not lie, that first half, they had the majority of the chances.
Yeah. It's Iron Apple United or whatever. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, it was it was a hide into nothing, wasn't it? But Scamacca scored a goal. Granted, the keeper should have saved it, but again, he had another one.
The keeper had a howler with that one.
Yeah, he did. But then Scamacca put the ball in the net again, and it was such a good finish. Great ball from Paqueta, just a touch offside. And you can see that if they were allowed to play, mate, they could tear it up. I really do believe that. But I think you've hit the nail on the head, mate. Like they are they just have got the wrong manager. They're good enough players for this league who have got the wrong manager. And I think it's frustrating because 99% of people seem to be able to see that except David Moyes. So, I mean, what a shame, really. What a shame. One positive, though, George, I thought from yesterday was him bringing on 3 of the youngsters, which is one of the criticisms that I've got of Moyes is, the long list, man management and so on. But the fact that we always put these 2 goalkeepers on the bench and we never play youngsters. But he brought Levi Lang on, he played Mabama and put Freddie Potts in midfield. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Freddie Potts looked absolute class. Like I watched it on my iPad on the way home, and he looks. I don't want to say it. Don't want to put too much pressure on him, but a young Declan Rice, a younger Declan Rice. Like the way he would run, the way he would challenge. There was one challenge he's done in the middle of the pitch where it was the exact same tackle style as Declan Rice.
Yeah,
the leg would come out, he'd win the ball, and he'd run off.
Yeah, he's got the same sort of stature, hasn't he? Yeah, the way he moves and he sort of glides across the pitch and stuff. There's a real, like an elegance to what he does. And we was both impressed with Mabama, weren't we? Like we talked about the energy and stuff. I mean, so there is hope, isn't there? There is hope for.
There's hope, if the manager has the stones to play them.
Yeah,
in the league.
I've got a fear, George, that that we win the Conference League and stay up by 1 point, and they're going to keep Moyes on. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to stay up. I'm not going to lie. Really? I said it after the Villa game. I said we look so lethargic. The players look disinterested. And if it is true that the board are going to keep Moyes at the end of the season, I mean, you look at Palace today, they've sacked Patrick Vieira because things aren't going well. They're getting bored of Moyes' play style. Do what Palace has done, grow a set and sack him.
Yeah, they won't do it, mate. You know that. Well, it's only us and Leicester who haven't done it out of the bottom half now. So I don't think they'll do it now, unless we lose to Southampton. But I think that week we've got Southampton at home, Newcastle at home, and Fulham away. There's those 3 games in the first week of April. That defines the season, doesn't it? Because I think if you can get 5 points from that, you're probably all right for a while. But if you don't, then it's tricky, isn't it? So
the only saving grace we have is our goal difference.
Yeah.
Because our problems in scoring goals, it's not necessarily been defending goals, and our goal difference is pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. So you think we're going to go down? I mean, I don't know, mate. I really don't. Palace, like you say, Palace chopping their manager is not good for us. I don't think, because they were in absolute freefall, weren't they? They hadn't won in 2023. So hopefully they don't bounce. They've got Arsenal on Sunday, so hopefully Arsenal will give them a tonking after they went out of the Europa League. So, but we'll wait and see, won't we, to see what happens there. But it's squeaky bum time, to say the least. But George, another positive is Europe, mate. And like I say, we've had the draw today in the Dog and Duck Cup, whatever it's called, and we're going away to Ghent. You excited about that?
I mean, as the song goes, West Ham's going down with the European Cup.
Yeah. could be that way. We're now favourites.
It'd be the most West Ham thing in the world to be playing Rotherham on the Saturday and then some like Sevilla on the or Barcelona on the Thursday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It would not. Yeah, it wouldn't. Yes, it wouldn't surprise me, mate. That's for sure. But I'm pleased to say we booked our Eurostars over to Ghent today, and I will certainly be heading there. Looking forward to it. It's been
I unfortunately cannot because I'm in my dissertation time and I kind of need to get my act together a little bit.
George, you can do it on the train, man. Don't worry about it.
Believe me, the sooner this dissertation gets done, the better. I can't wait for it to be all over.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll get a result over there, and then if we do, we're into the semi-finals, mate, which is really positive. On that, with the whole European debacle. I mean, did you hear about the data breach and the issue with the tickets?
Again, it just screams West Ham, doesn't it? It just screams West Ham. They have not got a clue how to run a competent football club, these lot. Whether it be the manager, the owners, the ticket office, whatever. It's just all a circus.
Yeah. It's I can't argue with that. It seems very much like it's run sort of on the back of a fag packet a lot of the time. And
it's quite ironic because Mark Noble's last words at the Upton Park was, "This club ain't run like a circus anymore." Well, what club are you looking at, mate? Because ever since we've left that stadium, bar probably a season and a half, we've been run like an absolute clown fest.
Yeah, it's not been ideal, mate. It's not. I mean, the data breach and people are looking.
That's
into
basic.
Obviously. Well, I mean, we probably shouldn't talk too much about the ins and the outs of it, but it does seem allegedly that people were sent, other people's personal details, which is a problem really for the club.
You'd think, all right, let's go into that person. What's their email? Boom, done.
Yeah. Well, how many times have they done it before? It shouldn't come to this. But yeah,
I'll give you an example, mate. You know when me and you went to Newcastle first game of last season.
Mm.
You know you come in as my carer.
Yeah.
They tried for those of you that don't know, I'm in a wheelchair. I've got cerebral palsy, so I need to sit with my carer in the disabled bays. They sent me an able-bodied ticket. I can't walk, boys. Come on.
Yeah, not the most sensitive thing. That is indicative of kind of some of the things that does go on, really. But yeah, it needs a change up, doesn't it? It needs to change up from the inside out. So I mean, a lot of people are talking about another thing. So before I move on, actually, just about that data breach, there are people in Larnaca, right, or in INAP, or wherever they were, and the email they got to basically resolve everything was at 5 o'clock the night before saying, "Sorry guys, there's been a mix-up. However, we're going to send you a new ticket in 15 minutes." Well, a mate of mine got his ticket at about 1:30 the following day. So you're sitting out there on holiday in Larnaca, basically refreshing your email over and over again, expecting to get this ticket, because they're saying, it's again, why do it? Why not just say your ticket will arrive before 2 o'clock or before the match tomorrow or whatever? And again, it's just another example of not massively caring about the fans and doing things the wrong way. So a complete balls up, mate, for want of a better term. And on that note, a lot of things at the club at the moment are not going very well. It's not just on the pitch stuff. There is like we've sort of highlighted, there are a number of issues around the whole club and the way it's run and the stadium and everything to do with it. And there are some people out there who are beginning to talk about a summer protest.
Don't get me excited. Don't get me excited.
I was going to ask your opinion, George, but you've made it quite clear how you feel then. Go on.
I can't wait. I'm not going to say there is, not going to say there isn't. But if there is, damn right I'm going to be there.
It's interesting. It'd be good to gauge some of the people who listen to this' opinion, because it does fluctuates wildly, doesn't it?
Can you put a poll on a Spotify podcast, can't you? I'm pretty sure you can if you do it for Anchor. So if I'm going to see if we can do it, put a poll in the Spotify podcast. If you listen to it on that, we'll put it in the description of the podcast and let us know, GSB in or out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because I mean, I, I just can't see how a club could be run much worse, And then other people will go, "Oh yeah, but it could be worse. It could be like Charlton, And it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but that's a really extreme thing. And West Ham are just, in my opinion, equally run as bad, and people are treated
West
equally.
Ham are the masters of making everything look as if it's like running well to the outside. But
Mm,
the people dealing with it on the inside, so the fans and the players and whatever, they know what it's like. So then when you got people out on Talk Sport saying, "Oh, you're sixth in the league and you're seventh in the league, and why do you want them out? They've spent money." It's not about the money spent. It's not about the on the pitch stuff. It's the stuff like the tickets for loaning a car. It's how the fans are treated and how the club as a whole is run. And I don't know about you, mate, but it's the majority of the time it's an absolute shambles.
yeah, I go from absolute rage to just being disaffected by it, which is where I am at the moment, and that's why I'm kind of boycotting, a lot of the home games. But yeah, it's a
Lazy.
total disaster. You think about the finances and the amount you have to pay for like £12.95 for a burger and stuff like that. Even down to things like last year when I took I don't know if I told the story last year. I don't think I did, but took my daughter to the one of the European nights, and there were loads of pissed people because it was Thursday night and all that sort of stuff. And she's 12 at the time. She goes into the girls' toilets. Two pissed up lads go in there, wanting to go in the cubicle to do who knows what. I ended up putting them out, and they went loads of effing and jeffing, and I could have got quite easily weighed in, but that didn't happen, luckily. So she ended up going to the toilet, and I ended up talking to the club and the people at the club about this, and then other people come on board and say, "Oh, I had this situation with my daughter. I had this situation with this," da, 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 da. And still now, nothing's been done about it. We're talking like a year now,
I mean,
and you
that's
get loads of
basic.
fluffy emails sort of saying, "Oh yeah, we're monitoring it, we're monitoring it." You're not monitoring it. You're not doing anything. And it's that sort of stuff. So yeah, when we say about this process, we're not saying we're in support or we're not, as a group at all. But what we are saying is there is an interest there, and it's not because West Ham is shit on the pitch, but that is a byproduct of how this club is run. And some people feel that maybe Sullivan's time's up. Maybe if you want to look at it with rose tinted glasses, yeah, he saved us from administration, and yeah, whatever, got us out of that hole financially. But maybe now it's time to move on, because quite frankly, I find it embarrassing. I find our club being talked about as like one of the top 7, 8, 9, 10 clubs in the country, and we just run like a complete madhouse. It's just totally unacceptable, some of the things that go on.
I
So
mean, Sullivan saved us, and we also made Sullivan a stupid amount of money. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
He was a multi millionaire when he come in. He's now a billionaire.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it goes both ways. But going back to what you were saying about the club, mate. So when you come in with me, there's an accessible security line. So if you're in a wheelchair or you've got a disabled ticket, you just go through. The amount of times you just get able-bodied people in the accessible ticket lines, like, and there's a steward standing there making sure that if you go through that bit, you are disabled.
yeah.
So then I actually asked them, I was like, "You actually checking?" He goes, "Yeah, we're not allowed to tell which one's disabled and which ones aren't." I said, "How about ask them for their tickets?
Yeah, would be
You
a
know,
good
use
starting
your
point.
brain, you
I
morons."
know they will. The club would argue that's nothing to do with them. That's to do with E20. But I know what you're saying, mate. It's
No,
another.
that apparently that comes from the club.
Oh, really? Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, I don't know, mate. It's a shit show. I think the good thing is we've got some exciting weeks ahead of us, because, like I say, that Southampton game and that week in particular is massive for us. And obviously the European stuff. But my money's on us keeping Moyes regardless until the end of the season. And I think Sullivan is on he's winging a prayer, fingers crossed that we stay up. But if we don't, Christ knows what things are going to look like next year, and God knows what's going to happen in the summer protest wise. But just on a final positive note, George, if Sullivan has listened to fans and is eager to make a change in the summer, who are you thinking, mate? What sort of managers are you looking at?
I mean, he won't come. There's three for me, and none of them will come. Pochettino, he'd be the number
Yeah,
one. Marco Silva and Robert De Zerbi at Brighton. Why would you leave Brighton to come to West Ham? Everyone will be like, oh, money is in London and whatever. Brighton are the best run club in the league by
Yeah,
a million miles.
yeah,
Everton
yeah.
and Brentford are up there. Why would he leave?
It
We
wouldn't. I don't
we
think.
need
Yeah.
we need someone to come in and stop this short termism. You think in the last 10 years or so we've had Allardyce, who is very much he'll keep you up. He'll play pragmatic football. You going on Bilic, who you didn't really understand what the playing style was. You then have Moyes, again, pretty similar to Big Sam, and he was pragmatic. Then you have Pellegrini, he was total football, and he's now flying with Betis in La Liga. And then you got Moyes back. There's no continuity. There's no identity. There's no idea of what we are as a club. And if you are going to take us to the next level, David Sullivan, and if you are going to stay, figure out an identity, whether it be like Moyes, you want to be hard to beat and getting top 8 every couple of years or whatever, or you want to play open, attractive football. Stop flicking between the two. You can't do that.
I love that, George. That's a good way to end this, really, mate. I mean, I can't argue with any of that. It's the fact that we don't have a clear vision for the future. Like, does anyone know in that club what the plan is for next year? No, they don't. Everything's on hold because we don't know what league we're going to be in. Would there be a plan?
The plan is Rotherham away in August.
As well, yeah, well, exactly, yeah. Well, this is it, mate. This is it. But like with regards to what's on the pitch, we don't know. Rice is going. Has anything been done about it? I doubt it very much. Like you have no idea what type of team he's building, what he wants to do. Like you say, when we were decent in COVID, we had we played deep. We were difficult to break down. We hit people on the counter attack with Lingard and so on. Now we don't do any of that shit. We used to be good at, used to be good at set pieces, but now we're dog shit at those as well. So we've got a 6'4" player, our captain taking the corners because no one else can do a decent corner. It's an absolute joke. So
don't start me on the set pieces, please. We could genuinely be here for another hour, mate.
This is it, mate. I mean, for me, if you're interested, I would be very seriously looking at Michael Carrick. As a replacement and build something nice for the future. I try and have a
100%. That's a great shout. That's a great shout. As someone like, this, Trev, but I followed Luton. I followed them since they were a mid-table League Two club. It was just started as a social thing, and I fell more and more in love with it. And they're everything that West Ham isn't, but they're actually going up against Middlesbrough for promotion. Yeah. Luton are fourth, Borough are third. And Borough are flying. That was the new Luton manager's first game in charge back in November, and they beat us in the last minute. But they had a clue what they were doing. They knew they knew how to play. They knew, okay, if this happens, we switch to this, and it was. Borough are probably the most informed team in England, and he's done an amazing job. So that's a great shout.
I think as well, like you say, all of that stuff. But he's a West Ham boy, and he understands what it's like going through the ranks. And I think he'll give those youngsters who are tearing it up in under 18s a chance, which is what I want to see, mate. Really, and what a lot of us want to see. But mate, on that note, because I'm not criticising George. Neither of us remember to record the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, play the guy in the wheelchair. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's all your fault, George. But no, on a serious note, I'm going to have to go and do some family stuff, which is dead boring, I know. But I've got to pick people up and that. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Shame West Ham are so shit, and it's always a bit negative. But who knows, George? Next time we speak, we might have won those 3 games in that first week of April and be in a semi-final.
I just want to leave it on this last thing, mate. People might think we're being overly negative on this. Nothing would make me happier than coming in a couple of weeks and we do the next podcast and say, right, we've won 3 games in a row, we're flying. We talk about West Ham as it is, and at the minute it's shit. We'll talk about it in a good way. If it's good, you know what I mean? We're not looking to be overly negative. We're just being brutally honest. Would you back that up?
Totally agree, mate. And, so over to you, Mr. Moyes. Prove us wrong, because we're quite happy to be proved wrong, aren't we, mate?
Oh, 100%, mate.
We're going. You called this, mate. You called this in before Frankfurt. You said we're on the decline, and I was a bit wary of what you were saying then. I thought, might be just a blip, but you're absolutely right, and the decline's continued and been allowed to continue for over a season now.
I told you, man, I'm a ginger genius,
and that you are. And with that, on that note, I hope everyone has a lovely weekend, and yes, we will be back in a couple of weeks' time.
Thankfully, no West Ham this weekend. Yes.
Hey, we can all chill out. It's nice. Right. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again.
Take care, guys.